everybody. It's your man James, which is Gwen Treasure, back going with some more video action for you. Today's another jaunt into the past as we find out why it's great. And for those of you new to all this, why it's great is where I take an issue from the past that I really think is awesome. I tell you why I think it's so great and why you yourself should check it out for your very own. And it's getting a little crisp in the air. Fall is here, and of course, also it's getting close to my favorite time of year, Halloween. Just a little over a week away now, so can't wait for that. Got some things I'm trying to get together for you guys for that, so maybe I'll talk a little more about that at the end of the video here. But before we get into today's topic of choice, I'll say thank you for joining me, and just remind you that if you like what you see here, drop a like down there on the video so you can help out the algorithm. It's always appreciated. Also, if you got any comments about the issue I talk about or anything else, drop some comments down below. Always love hearing from the people. Also, be sure to share out some links and bring in some new people, because I always want to try to pump up those subscription numbers as much as I can around here. And also, if you haven't subscribed, make sure to subscribe yourself so you don't miss any of the content that I'm putting out around here. Okay, and with that out of the way, the little shill, let's get into our book. Again, like I said, with Halloween come up, I'm starting to really feel the season, and so today I decided we're going to go a little fun here with this, and it's Ghost Rider Volume 2, Number 4 from the 1990 series, the Danny Ketch Ghost Rider, the Ghost Rider I love most. It's my favorite Ghost Rider. So this is issue number 4. We're going to get into that, and it's going to be a fun time. So let's get me off the screen here, because we're going to look at me, and then what we'll bring up our issue, which is right here. And there we are, Ghost Rider number 4, battling the maniacal Mr. Hyde. Can you see why I chose this in prelude to Halloween? And this covers by Javier Saltares, who was the artist of the time on this book. I really like the visuals here. I like the close-up shot of Ghost Rider and Mr. Hyde in battle with the people on the street looking up. I like that whole looking down perspective. It really brings a lot of tension to the scene. Just great imagery here. I mean, and just look at some of these fine details, like in the clothing. Solteris is an artist who I think really hasn't gotten his due. I mean, he got high praise from this book at the time when it was out, but in the interim years, he really hasn't gotten his due. But I mean, just the details in the skull and in Mr. Hyde's furry face. Just so good. So good. I mean, this is classic 90s stuff here from 1990. Great stuff. This issue came out right as I was graduating my junior year of high school. So I was 16. Man, that feels like a lifetime ago sometimes. But yes, this was the stuff. This is when that was out. So it was a very back to basics approach. Unlike the previous Ghost Rider series, which was done in like the 70s, they focused a little more on the mysticism and stuff. This was more street oriented, more urban grit, as I call it, to down to earth approach to the character. And he's more of a mystery in here too. We're going to see some of that in this issue. So let's get it rolling here. And as we start out here, we got this scene of crime. This is like the late 80s, early 90s. This is like the high crime time, as everyone knows if you know anything about the history of the period. Got great inks by Mark Texiera, otherwise known as Tex. It's just that's how everybody knows him. It's good old Tex. Brings that, again, like that real grit to the art, and you can really see it like in the shadows here and here. And you can see what happens here is, as the guy says, it used to be in this neighborhood until certain people started moving in, and now kids are disappearing. But then the guy tries to, tries to tell them, hey, it's not just white kids that are disappearing, and they don't want to listen. So again, you can see where they're going with this, the classic bigotry angle. It's an easy thing to do. I don't hold it against them. I don't see it as being woke per se, because there are people who do think like this. But it's just the easy in to get to the action. And so just as it looks like things are going to start going sideways, who shows up but the Ghost Rider? And I love this. I love the chain. The chain was always one of my favorite things about this version of Ghost Rider that the other one didn't have. The other one had, he spewed hellfire and stuff. That's not very interesting, but like the chain, I love the chain as a weapon. It's just so perfect for like a biker, and So he takes out the first guy, and the other guys are wondering, what are we going to do? And we got to get out of here. And of course, then number 2, he goes down. I got to get out of here before that freak comes back for me too. He thinks knowing the area is going to save him, but of course it doesn't. It's time to join your friends. Yeah, right there. Just everything. Come on, with the finger of accusation, right there. The finger of accusation. I love that. And so you're not going to take me. He says vengeance won't be denied. And again, just look at the great angles that he uses to these great camera angles that the Solterres uses to show the bike off. I like that too. The way he almost makes the bike like almost a character of its own in the book. So he comes down. Then our guy tries to get tough, deny this. He hits him. And see, again, this is another thing I liked about this. This is in the early years of the book. So Ghost Rider isn't like, if you watch later in the series, he seems to get more powerful as time goes on. Whereas here, you can see he got clobbered and wasn't even, like it really knocked him for a loop for a second. You see here he's on the ground. He's not all powerful yet. And is that because he doesn't understand who he is yet? Is it because his bonding with his host Danny Ketch isn't complete yet? We don't know. But I just like the fact that he was shown as not infallible. You're not unbeatable, like where it would take a Hulk level threat to stop him. Like just here a simple guy with a baseball bat and he knocked him down. But of course, he thinks the guy takes off thinking he's got away, but he doesn't. You can't escape the spirit of vengeance. And I just love this. Get away. Leave me alone. I didn't do nothing. And then you have nothing to worry about. And just that image right here. Let's close up on it. Look at that. I love the zipatone. The zip. Oh, I love the zip. And just look at that expression. I mean, even though it's just a skull, I mean, it exudes like the anger, the rage. You can feel it. You can feel it in that image. And again, look at how scratchy that both Tex and Solterres make the art. And I like that. I like that grittiness in it. It really helped the book stand out to a lot of others. Because again, this is like I said, 1990. So who was the big guys in 90? Jim Lee, Rob Liefeld, Todd McFarlane, these guys who are like very well known for high super detail, tight stuff, that's all like, it's like detail on top of detail stuff. Where here's guys who are being scratchy and loose with what they're doing. And it just got a great look to it. Like I said, this to me, like this face right here this is like straight out of your nightmares right here. I love that. So then we cut away and we come to a not so nice bar. And we can see a dude here getting a little too frisky with the waitress. And of course, as we come to find out, this is Dr. Calvin Zabot, who we all know his alter ego is Mr. Hyde. And he even noticed this after he gets the negative in the barmaid's attentions. You dare strike me? Bad enough I was humiliated by that worm Cobra and then battered by the Hulk. And he goes, but you, woman, will taste my fury now. So he's like, this is like in the wake. And I love this. They got the captions here to show you what he's talking about. So you want to go check it out. I really miss these in the comics right here. The good old footnotes of where to look for the stories when they reference something. But just as he's about to dish out some of his own vengeance, shall we say, well, it doesn't go too well for him. Because then our big guy here comes in, tells him, you've been drinking too much, you got to go. He's getting sorry again. Just you got to give him the heart, if nothing else. Here's this dude who's massive compared to how he is right now, and just you should consider yourself lucky that I don't rip your head from your shoulders. I mean, come on, that's just funny. This old looking guy getting in this big guy's face like that. I mean, it's so hilariously, and again. You can see, look at that, look at this, look at the scratchiness. I love this. This is just so good. Just a great style. And so, and then of course it ends exactly the way you expect it to end. The way it would probably end in real life, if not worse, but of course that isn't going to stop, Mr. Hyde. He's not going to stand for that. So while they're in there laughing about it, he comes back in and attacks, and now, it's bad move, Doc. Hitting Frazier makes you a candidate for instant surgery. And it's like, no, wait, he's mine. He goes, not while I can still run. And see, look at that. It's a little sucker punch, and then he runs. Now, see, the reason he hasn't changed into Mr. Hyde is because he suffered a head trauma in his battle with the Hulk. And so he can't will the change the way he used to. And so this is why he's stuck in this form. So then we come back to our boy, and this is where we kind of get into the real, into a Danny side of things. He is transforming back, and I just love this dialogue. This dialogue on this page really gives you a sense of where the character is at this point in time. He goes, "Why do I put myself through this? What he does sickens me. Barb's out of danger. Death Watch and Blackout aren't threatening us any longer. Why do I keep allowing myself to undergo the transformation into him? I do have a choice, don't I? But it's not like he hurts anyone who doesn't deserve to be hurt. I can't believe I think anyone deserves what he does to them. I've got to get rid of this bike, and I've got to do it tonight." This is how Danny. So he's conflicted. He sees what the Ghost Rider does, and he doesn't like what he does. It's what he does while he's transformed. He doesn't like it. But then again, he looks at it as, but the people he goes after are the bad guys, and so is that really wrong? But he just can't take it. He's just not built for this. So this is like a conflict that goes on for like pretty much the first year or so of the book. Is this conflict within Danny of, do I want to still be Ghost Rider, or do I want to get rid of Ghost Rider? What do I do? How do I handle this? Because he's totally in over his head. And speaking of in over their head, we come back to the good doctor who's on the run. And, they mustn't catch me while I'm still unable to transform into Hyde. This head injury isn't that bad. I've got to try again. And he can feel it coming on, but it's not enough. So he tries to slink away and hide in a parking garage. And look at me slithering around like that slug Cobra, which, if you know anything about Mr. Hyde and Cobra, they have steep animosity, shall we say. So it's why he keeps referencing him. So then Danny decides he's going to get rid of the bike, because he just can't let this keep happening. He goes, and he figures he got the perfect plan to do it. I can get rid of the motorcycle and make sure that no one else gets a hold of it and undergoes the same horrible transformations that I do. Plus, it'll be in Manhattan, far enough away from me that I won't be tempted to use it again. Sometimes I feel like this transformation is a drug. Could something inside me feed on the violence? It'll be good to get it away from me. So you see, he's worried that he's becoming addicted to these transformations. So he goes to see his friend Jack, who's working at, oh God, the same parking garage that Mr. Hyde just sneaked into. Gee, I wonder what's going to happen next. So they have a little bit of talk, a little bit about what's been going on. He tells him what he heard about what happened to his sister, and he tells him how awesome the bike is. He goes, "That's why I'm here. I just got to get rid of it. I don't feel comfortable riding it right now, And he doesn't blame him because the bike is awesome looking. So they go and they put it down in the basement inside a storage cage, and they drop a cloth on it to keep it hidden, and then and it'll be locked up safer than the royal jewels. Remember this. Remember that line. Famous last words, folks. And he tells them he appreciates it. And just as they're getting ready to head out, maybe to do some buddy stuff, who shows up? Why, it's the bikers who are hunting Mr. Hyde. And so they tell him, hey, look, we're just here to find some twerp. And if you just leave us to go through here and see if he's in here, we'll leave peacefully. If not, you're going to have a problem. And of course, Jack is in charge, so he's like, no way. So they start to get a little tough on him. And then Jack kicks in some action here. I love this. I love this shot right here with the blast lines. Just elbow right to the nose. Bam. I just love that. Great stuff. But of course, it doesn't turn out too well for Jack, because then our big boy gets in. Looks like we found us a regular Bruce Lee. Come here, Bruce. Let's see if you can break this here pavement with your head. Just, and then he's done. And then, he gets in Danny's face and says, you want to try something? No. Good. Just stay in here while we check the other levels. Maybe you can count sheep or something. We'll let you out when we're done with the other wimp, looking for Mr. Hyde. And then look, first thought of Danny's, I need the bike. See, his worries before was, is this becoming an addiction to me? And now here is, I need the bike. So they start fanning out to try to find Mr. Hyde while he's hiding, and he can feel the change coming on. It's getting close. He just needs more time. So they spread out to find him. And of course, while all this happens, some people show up. to want to park their car. And it's like, hey, where's the guy? And he's like, come on, Scott, you have a monthly parking spot. Why not park it yourself? Sure. How much trouble could it be? And then Danny notices, and then, he screams for him, but they got the music blasting so they don't hear him. He's trying to get out. He's trying to reach the crowbar. I can't reach it. I need the bike. See, there it is again. He just, again, he was so worried about, he's sickened by what Ghost Rider does. And he fears it's like becoming an addiction. And yet. So they're going around. And then the bikers come across the kids coming in their car, get rid of them quick so we can find the wimp. And then just at that moment, yes, Hyde, I feel you. Come to me now. And then got this great scene here. I love this. Two transformations begin in different parts of the garage. The first is a product of the twisted scientific experiments of a madman. The second, and then boom. And then Danny's with that noise. It sounded like a scream. The people in the car there, and then there's the bike. The bike, it's here. How? And then, I can just about reach. Boom. And now Ghost Rider's on the scene. Takes off. No more innocent people will be hurt today. And so Mr. Hyde shows up. He's getting ready to take on the bikers. The big guy steals the guy's car to try to run him down. You can see that doesn't work too good. Good try, maggot, but not good enough. It's payback time. You and your little friends are going to be on the receiving end of a whole lot of pain. And then, Ghost Rider shows up. He goes, no, they're innocent. The others in the car are innocent. And he goes, innocent? Who cares? And he goes, we can continue this. This fight can continue, but not here. And again, look at the chain, the use of the chain. I love that. But, Hyde with super strength, I don't feel like leaving yet. And again, see, this goes back to what I was saying earlier, the fallibleness of Ghost Rider at this period of time. He's not the all-powerful spirit of vengeance that he seems to think he is. And, you can see, is this because of his struggles with Danny? Is this because of him resisting wanting to change the Ghost Rider sometimes? Is that what causes this? We don't know. But it's an interesting thought, to the dynamic of the character. He's almost like a split personality in a way. And it's kind of what this whole issue is two guys with split personalities. One who's repulsed by what he becomes, the other that loves what he becomes. That's kind of the whole point of the whole theme of the issue. He goes, don't feel it, but I don't mind caving in your skull before I take care of the others. Easier said than done. Just boom. And just, I will teach you the meaning of pain. And then they're fighting, and he was telling him to stop preaching. He goes, I am Hyde. I fought the likes of Thor, Hercules, and the Hulk. Do you expect me to believe that a motorcycle riding freak could hurt me more than they could? And then, again, just look at that shot here. Yes. And then the penitent stare. And you can see right here with him, he goes, I can feel myself transforming back into Zabo. He's weakening. That's what his penance stare. His penance stare normally causes you to feel the pain that you inflicted on others, like in your life. Here with Mr. Hyde, it's weakening him to turn him back into Calvin Zabo. He goes, have to get away. I'm not through with you again. Look at that. It's so scratchy, and yet it's still, you can still tell what it is. Again, the Solteras Tex team is one of the best of this period of time. I think highly underrated by a lot of people. I'm not through with you, and then boom, they got through the wall. Look at, you see, he loses control. It's almost like a play off of the cover right here is this image. And again, you see lots of zipatone. Love that. Love to see some zip. And of course, the police are right there. And I love this. He goes, move in and cuff them both. Is he kidding or what? I love that. And then, Hyde takes off and he tells him, you're on my list, Flamehead, and you're on mine, Hyde. And they both take off in opposite directions. And then, police are getting their statements. They're talking to the bikers. And he goes, I'm telling you, that Ghost Rider is one righteous dude. He saved all our lives, especially mine, And so Danny shows up on the bike. He goes, hey, he goes, you have me worried. And he goes, hey, let's get that bike back in storage. He goes, no, Jack. I've decided I can't lock it away. Not yet, anyway. See, there it is. Here he's starting to see now, that there is there something to Ghost Rider? Is he necessary in some way? Does he need to be out on the streets to fight against evils like Mr. Hyde and, as he noted, Blackout and Death Watch. Is Ghost Rider needed? So even though he's repulsed at what he does, is it a necessary evil? Again, these are some of the themes that played throughout the whole, like I said, the whole first couple years of the book. And, then we get to our final page here. And, just in case you forgot where we began, it's like it brings it full circle. Got a woman walking home with a child. Some shadows come up. Boom, she gets hit down. Said, no, my baby, Jason, bring back my baby. Remember, what was the whole beginning of the story? The guy, those punks were on the streets because babies were being kidnapped. And they wanted to blame certain types of people for it. But here we got, it's happening. It's still happening. And then next month, The Punisher. So there you go. This is just a great story. It's full of action. It's full of drama. Like the whole duality aspect of the character, is one that I don't think they really they didn't really expand on that very much in the original Ghost Rider series with Johnny Blaze. The whole aspect of him transforming and being, the demon inside of him and all that kind of stuff. They didn't really play up the duality very much. I think, it wasn't one that was, like the way you saw Dan Ketch here, where he's worrying, is this transformation becoming an addiction? Is it, am I is there something in me that's violent that wants to come out all the time? What, he's worried about this, where you didn't really see that with Johnny Blaze's character when he was Ghost Rider. And that's what I liked about this is the whole duality aspect. And again, bringing in Mr. Hyde, the perfect villain for a character who himself is having, issues of the duality of himself. And again, you got one guy who becomes a quote unquote monster to fight against evil, but he resents it. And you got another guy who becomes a monster who is evil and loves it. Just the whole contrast, flip sides of the same coin. And again, like I said, just like even like this shot here. Again, love me some Zip, but like look at that face. I mean, it's just Solteris is really a highly underrated artist. I mean, his style isn't flashy the way some guys are, but I like it. It's understated, but yet it's still got grit to it. I say when you add in text on your inks, I mean, it was just magic. Like I said, just so many great sequences. The shot of them coming through the wall. Just even close-up shots like this. No more innocent people will be hurt today. And just a close-up of the eyes of the skull. I mean, just, so many great moments. But see, like Danny's desire to get rid of it because he's afraid of what this is doing to him, and yet in the end, what's he do? He decides, I'm going to keep it. You see, so it just, I really love the way that plays. And again, just all the way back, like I said, this shot to me right here, this is it right here. This is the stuff of your nightmares right here. This is not what you want to ever see. So, but, and again, just like I said, this was just a great issue, lots of action, lots of drama, and just one that I think flew on a lot of people's radar at the time. And, but this was one that was a lot of fun, just fun action, fun superhero stuff, two characters who transform into powerful beings, battling each other. I mean, I was very sad that they never really did a follow-up to this, despite them saying that you're on my list, yet they never really seem to get back to them on the list. But this is a great issue. I mean, just it's got the tinge of horror, but yet it isn't too deep into it, at least not yet. Maybe later on in the series they get a little more into it, but here it's not. It's much more action-oriented, much more street-oriented, urban, and again, it was just a great take on a character that people had forgotten about at the time. Ghost Rider was kind of like a also ran in a lot of ways, and people didn't really think much of him, and then they bring in the Danny Ketch version, and this really blows up, and it's just a great series overall, and this issue in particular is just a fun one. I mean, if you want to get a good idea of what the book was about at the time, this issue is a great example of that. Like I said, the whole conflict between Danny becoming Ghost Rider and what it means, and just how Ghost Rider himself isn't the all-powerful being he seems to be, or sometimes acts like he wants to be. Just lots of great stuff in there with that, and just it's a lot of fun. So definitely something I think is worth checking out is Ghost Rider Volume 2, Number 4. You can't miss that awesome shot image here of just them coming through the wall, battling each other on the bike. It's just exactly what you would expect, and it's a lot of fun. So I definitely would say anybody, if you're looking for some good comics, you definitely want to check out this. This is the good stuff right here. And there you have it. Ghost Rider number 4 from 1990. Good stuff. Good classic comics back when I was still a teenager, which seems like a lifetime ago. But I want to thank you all for joining me today. I'll be back soon with some more stuff because, like I said, I got some stuff I'm trying to plan for Halloween for you guys. So we'll see what comes of that. Hopefully some good stuff. But I appreciate it. And I just want to thank you all again for joining me today. And be sure to remind you, like, share, subscribe, all the good stuff. And I will be back soon. And I will have some really good stuff for you. And so until next time, take care.